All right, everybody, we're in Iowa right now, and man, I'll tell you what, Jacob is stressed out. He is stressed out.
He very much is.
I mean, really. How you doing over there, bud?
Stressed.
What's wrong?
So many big deer. It just, I need them come 20 yards closer.
Mm.
I mean, it's blown away our Kansas trip last year for opportunity, seeing big deer.
Or lack thereof.
No, it's opportunity. It's just it ain't broke my way quite yet, but I'm feeling good about tomorrow.
All right. So everyone's heard a lot about Iowa. And our trip coming up, we've been talking about it since we figured out that we drew earlier this summer. We got Caden Gray here, Primal Frame Photography. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Everyone remember him from our Georgia trip. But anyways, had high hopes coming into this hunt. We're kind of on the back half of it now. It's not over yet. We still got 2 days to make it happen, son. So there's a couple different the unit that we drew in Iowa. There's a couple different habitat types you can hunt. You can hunt straight agriculture, or you can hunt some timber kind of stuff. And we've kind of flip-flopped back and forth. And we got here the first day, and before we got here, our plan, I think in the last podcast we were talking about, our plan was to get here, scout hard for a day or two, and then buckle down and like really start hunting and try to kill something. And so that's pretty much what we did. So day one, got on the ground. When we went and spot checked, were you impressed, underwhelmed? What was your thoughts, Jake?
I mean, well, it was underwhelming for a good portion of it, mostly for one reason. We didn't get to scout that hard.
Yes.
Andrew cut his thumb wide open. Literally. So, background. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. Hold on a second.
Yes.
So, we had our Patreon Hunters Hangout meeting literally the day before we got here. Okay. And we were talking about like knife stories because our buddy Zach, who we're hunting with up here as well, his brother accidentally stuck himself in the leg with his knife while he was cleaning a deer on the ground. And they had to go to the hospital and go get a bunch of stitches and all that kind of stuff. We brought that story up. Mike Perry was on there. Mike Perry talked about him cutting his hand real bad a couple years ago, had to go get stitches. And Andrew specifically made the comment, well, guys, I guess I'm going to be really careful with my knife on this trip so I don't cut myself. And we were in Iowa for 3 hours, and he cuts his thumb wide open. Best part, we're just sitting there, okay? Sitting there, he's messing with his knife, and it was one of the outdoor edges, pocket knives, which, by the way, blades are super sharp. Super sharp. Ask Andrew, because you were trying to close the blade. It was a folder. You were trying to close it, and somehow I was
No, you got it wrong.
Okay,
you got it all wrong.
Walk us through.
Mr. Embellishment over here.
Okay.
No. So I killed the deer in Alabama last week before we came here, and I did part of the skinning with that knife, and it's a folder, and I didn't clean it because I got in a hurry, and I didn't clean it, right? So it was just kind of riding around in my truck, a little bit of like fat and stuff on it, and we were getting ready to go scout, and I was taking the bow while we were scouting, and I saw the knife in my truck, and I was like, oh, I ought to grab that in case we'd actually shoot something while we're scouting. And so I pick it up, and the blade's all like messed up because I was like grinding on joints and stuff with it.
Oh, so was it a new blade?
No, it was.
Oh, okay.
Because when I saw that, I was like, okay, I need to change the blade real quick. So I changed the blade.
Okay.
Stick it in my pocket. Okay.
Okay, that's
Close it up, stick it in my pocket.
Yeah.
So remember how I said I didn't clean it? So that knife just barely was not all the way closed. Just the very, very tip of it was poking out.
Okay.
So you know how it seats down? I mean, just the very, very tip of it was poking out. So we go about doing all our scouting and everything, and we're about to walk into the first spot. And I've got my deer tag in that pocket. And so I run my hand. I'm like, oh, do I have my deer tag? So I run my hand down in my pocket to feel if my deer tag is there. And the knife is open in my pocket just a little bit, and the tip catches my thumb, and I'm talking about splits it. Son.
That's how it happened. So I wasn't paying attention. I had my back to you, and all of a sudden I'm hearing you cussing, raising hell. And I turn around, and there's like blood. It's like just blood everywhere. It's like on you, on your it was on your clothes quite yet. That came later. But there's just blood. I was like, and the Caden said he saw it, so I thought you took it out and you were messing.
Oh yeah, no, I knew instantly what happened. Like when I put my hand in my pocket, I felt it. And I ripped my hand out of my pocket, and I think I said something along the lines of, I just cut the bleep out of myself. And y'all turned around, and you were like, what?
We're like, how? Like, I don't even see a knife. Where's the knife at? That makes more sense why it was in your pocket, and also makes more sense when you took it out and you like laid it down. There's blood, like fresh blood, all over the knife.
Dude, I looked at that knife, I almost threw it. I mean, I was pretty upset. So anyways, outdoor edge knives work equally well on deer and human thumbs. Like, bro, I mean, split it open.
It was nasty.
A lot of blood.
I'm not gonna lie, it was bad. But anyway, so that whole situation. So that's why I was gonna say it was kind of underwhelming right off the rip, because when we were scouting, we didn't stay in any spot all that long. Like the first spot, I mean, you're like, after you sat there for a while.
I passed out, by the way.
Okay, I was gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna get off. I don't want to say it. But Andrew,
If we're gonna say he passed out, we gotta say the whole thing.
You gotta lean back so your mic's catching.
gosh,
We gotta say the whole thing if we're gonna tell them they passed out, though.
Listen, all right. I've only ever passed out one other time. And this didn't happen the first time. But I'll be honest with y'all, I wet my pants. I mean, look, it happened, okay?
dude, so Andrew like is sitting down, and all of a sudden I'm like, he was turning pale. I was like, don't pass. I was joking with him. I was like, don't pass.
Bro, I
out.
felt it coming on. I sat down. I was like, yeah,
I was like, don't pass out.
I'm getting real sleepy.
And I was like, I was telling Kate, I was like, don't pass out. I'm like, dude, you're fine. And I was joking. And all of a sudden, he's sitting there, and his right arm slumps, and then his head starts slumping over, and he starts like leaning, and I'm like, well, he's actually passed out. At first, I thought you were joking. I thought you were just like, oh, I'm just playing around. Me and Katie were both like, oh, he's messing around. And then like all of a sudden, you like go to like fall forward and fall over, and we're like, oh, he's actually out. Let's go grab him real quick. So we like jump down and grab you. And I'm sitting there, and like Katie's like, I don't know. I guess you didn't say if he was breathing. I was checking to see if you were breathing. I'm like, I can't tell if he's breathing. So I started smacking Andrew in the face. And then, like, when I was popping him on the face, I was like, come on, wake up. He finally woke back up, and your eyes went all big. And anyways, didn't know where you were at that moment, but then it came back to you.
Yeah, oh, dude, when I opened my eyes, first of all, I had the best sleep ever. I mean, I woke up feeling well rested.
Legs were nice and warm.
Bro. And I opened my eyes and I just see Jacob's freaking beard like 3 inches from my face. I was like, I didn't know where I was, dude. I was very confused, not gonna lie.
But this is a funny segment, because like we've been dealing, like you have been doctoring your thumb this whole trip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still wrapped up right now.
But so that happens, and finally he wakes up, or Andrew wakes up, you wake up, and I look down and I'm like, you had like khakis or you had like tan mossy oak pants on, and I'm like, I don't think he spilled water on himself. And I'm like, and I can see the pattern, like the dark pattern, like running down your legs. And I'm like, oh, he actually did he peed himself. And I'm like, there's no way. Are you kidding? But because like I've always heard that, like guys get knocked out fighting or whatever, like cold knocked out.
Yeah.
And they do that, like you just like everything goes, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Andrew, prove that theory.
Andrew walked around in them dirty pee pants all day.
All day.
Hey, bro, we were scouts.
I was like, bro, is it itching yet?
I mean, listen.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Yeah.
But so going back,
I got a 2-year-old right now, so it's like it didn't seem, I deal with a lot with her, but I'm just like, yep, it's my turn right now.
but this kind of goes back to the original thing of like, were we underwhelmed or whatever? I was underwhelmed because we scouted the first spot probably 25, 30 minutes.
So still went in.
Yeah,
I just had to hold my I was holding my hand like this.
And like wrapped up in your jacket.
Yeah, wrapped up in my jacket.
Bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and like I kept checking it and it's still bleeding. Like it was bleeding for a long time. It was bleeding until I finally ended up patching it up like 3.5, 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Kept bleeding.
So we went to that first spot. It wasn't that great. Went up, going to another spot, walking in, and we didn't get in that far. I was like, man, there's a really good rut funnel, I think. And I was telling you guys from some past experience. We got like a you get like an ag field that kind of cuts up in between like a sliver of woods and 2 big CRP fields. And I'm like, this is gonna be killer. We go in, end up finding there's a bunch of trails, a couple of scrapes right there. And I'm like, this is money. And I was trying to get you guys to like follow along, and y'all kept like staying back, like not walking. And then finally came up.
Are you talking about the second spot?
Yeah, second spot, which comes into a later story, like what happened today. But we didn't spend that much time there relatively, and you're like, dude, you gotta take me back. Like I gotta go to, I gotta go to the store and go get doctored up.
Well, there's two reasons for that. Because one, I was bleeding profusely.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I need to go take care of
well,
this.
and it wasn't feeling good. I mean, the whole time it was hurting like fire. I mean,
It didn't really hurt that bad at first, but at that point, it had been about an hour and a half or 2 hours.
sucker swelled up.
Yeah, and it was swelled up, and
Looked like a bratwurst.
and it finally like quit bleeding enough where when I took it off, I could like see what the cut really looked like. And I was like, oh yeah, there's meat. There's stuff that I should not be seeing in that cut. I was like,
Don't pass that again.
I was like, I've never passed out when I cut myself before, ever. I've only passed out one other time, and it's not when I cut myself. But anyways, and when I look at it after the fact, like no effect. I don't know. It's something about when it cut me. I don't know. But anyways,
All the life was flowing out
the
of you.
life was draining out of me.
Yeah.
But when I kept pulling it off, this is the real reason I was like, hey, we got to get out of here. Because I was holding it to keep it, not only to keep it from bleeding, but I just didn't want more stuff to get into it because I already knew how bad it was going to hurt when I cleaned it out.
Yeah.
And I was holding it up against my jacket, and the blood kept drying on my jacket.
Ooh.
And so every time I pulled it off, it would like pop off. Dude, it freaking hurt.
Yeah.
So that was one reason.
Well, it swelled up too. Like it was like noticeable.
Yeah, it was
like,
pretty
as it was swelling. But
nasty. But I didn't want it to scab over and then have to like open it back up to clean it. But also when we were in that spot, it's only like 70, 80 yards wide.
yeah.
Just a little timber strip that's kind of thick where they're pinching between some fields. And when we popped in there and saw it, when we walked up and just kind of scanned the whole thing, I was like, yeah, this looks good. Seriously, I was like, I don't know how much we need to walk this. And you walked down a little bit and you found some scrapes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
And you kept wanting to walk down. And I was like, I don't think we need to walk this anymore because we were accessing it in a pretty low impact way. I'm like, I don't know if we need to like track this up any more than we have to. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I saw enough there where I was like, I would definitely hunt this.
I was just looking for more trees to get in. But we took you back to the truck, got you back to your truck. You went and doctored it. Me and Katie went to another spot to go scout. Actually checked out quite a few other spots. Found some decent stuff. Nothing crazy though. I was really let down. Really, even up to this point, not finding any like truly big rubs. Because when I'm hunting late season in Iowa, I would find these magnum rubs. They're old, they're from the rut, but like you would find these huge rubs, and like I haven't seen one on this trip yet, like to date. So that's more so like where that signs kind of makes me a little. I was let down on that aspect, but we found some other stuff, scouting some other spots which we haven't even hunted, haven't even gone back to, but. I was a little let down just from the amount of sign because I know there's a bunch of deer. There's tons of deer, especially in the ag land. But it's just like, where's the X? Like, where can I sit? Where's a good pinch point, good funnel, something where I have an opportunity for a buck to come cruising by that would make sense around doe bedding? And we never really found anything.
No.
Everything we found was like, it was like big areas where there'd be a bunch of sign, but it was like, some of it was like 2 or 3 weeks old. Some of it was a little fresh, and then just tracks. So, what about you?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, usually when we do this and we get on one of these trips and we use that first day and a half or so to scout, really what you're doing is you're just walking a whole bunch of areas that you're not going to go back to. And you kind of have to have that in the back of your mind so you don't get discouraged, because it's just as much, I feel like, marking stuff off as it is finding good areas.
Yep.
And then also getting a gauge for what the sign's going to look like. So when we first got here and we're scouting around, we're not seeing all the big giant rubs that we're wanting to see. But then we keep scouting and keep scouting and keep scouting, and we're like, okay, we're just not finding them. Like, maybe we should adjust our expectations for what kind of sign we're going to find. And then also talking to Zach, who lives up here, he was telling me that same day, he's like, hey, it's just not a good year for rubs. I'm not finding a lot of rubs. And so I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. And then we go and we scout some other stuff. We scouted some of the timber, found some good looking areas in that too. You ended up jumping some deer there. Found a bunch of scrapes. No
Yeah.
big rubs, but
Yeah, like,
found some
when
good.
we got into like more like some of the public land that's big woods, kind of hill country, big timber, it felt more like home. But the crazy thing is, and I think this is something that we all realized when we got there, was how green everything was. Like the understory.
Oh yeah.
They're like, it's early mid-November, and it is like green in parts and spots, which like I was not prepared for that. Like I was thinking like everything leaves are gonna be kind of falling off, everything's gonna be brown and everything, and it's just not the case. It looks like to me like mid-October or early mid-October. But yeah, when we went to the hill country, I was like, this looks good. I mean, you got some pretty good funnels. One thing that you mentioned is finding like these, which kind of comes into a factor. These, what do you call them? Train hubs, ridgetop hubs.
Yep.
Where you just have a bunch of drainages all coming in, like lead ridges coming to like one central spot location.
Oh yeah.
And there was quite a few of those on one piece of public that we walked. And you get in there and you find sign and you find stuff. And like there was one spot, which comes into another hunt that we got to, and it was like an old little fallow field with a logging road split. And all this big timber. And Caden was like, dude, you kill one right here. Like Caden got all excited. He's behind the camera. He's like, dude, this is it. Like you kill one right here. So I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, it was cool to just kind of see the difference. Like you go into some place, it's like, you still got ag in the hill country, kind of big woods, but it's just like smaller parcels of ag. And then you get the stuff that's like just the big tracts of agriculture. It's like night and day difference, like habitat.
Yeah.
So, but that was really fun. But like you said, we scouted for a couple days, found things that we felt pretty confident in. And then it was Sunday is when we actually went in for the first hunt, which comes back to Andrew's map scouting. And like a ditch, you like a ditch funnel. You like a saddle, you like a ditch funnel, and you like a ridgetop hub.
Oh yeah.
And there was 2 ditch funnels that had your eye. And when you showed them to me, I was looking at them too. I was like, that looks really good. And we kind of scouted one, walked in, scouted one. We didn't go to the far one because we're like, we don't really need to. The first
Once
one,
I saw that first one, I said, I don't need to see this.
there's rubs.
Good.
There's few scrapes in it, rubs. Just again, just a real steep drainage ditch right there. Deer were kind of cutting around, and it's like doe bedding right there, just like brushy, grassy. It has it all.
Well, when you say a ditch, I mean it is a ditch.
Yeah, I mean like if you go into it, you're not coming back up.
I mean,
You're
if you
the
fall
one-
off the edge of it, you're gonna have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, it's like it's all washed out and nasty, and the deer
And
just
they're cutting around the head of that.
cutting around the head of it.
That's a hard funnel right there.
Like 5 trail intersections or 5 trails intersect right there at the head of it, where they're all kind of splitting off different places. There was one tree to get in. Wasn't the best location because you had some trails right next to you where the tree was, but it was like literally the only decent tree. Everything else was so small, it's like you can't really hunt it. And that's what we did Sunday.
yeah.
Which we have to talk about the wind and the cold front, because we came from Alabama. It was 75 degrees when we drove up here. Saturday night that cold front came through, and Sunday it was like the real field temperature was like 9 or 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. So like in the matter of a couple of days, we experienced like 60% or 60-degree temperature drop.
I was
50-mile-an-hour winds. It was crazy.
I was a little worried about that. Not gonna lie. I was like, because last year in Kansas, it wasn't even that cold.
Yeah.
And I froze the first hunt in Kansas last year
Yep.
because it was so warm in Alabama, and then we went straight into like a polar vortex, and like my body just wasn't prepared for it. It wasn't that bad this time.
Well, that's one of the things that I think doesn't get talked about enough, because all these guys in the Midwest, they're like, you kids can't handle some cold weather. If you're used to a warmer environment, Kaden's from Florida, okay? So it's even different for him. But like when you're living in a warmer environment and all of a sudden you go somewhere where it is a 30, 40, 50-degree temperature swing, like difference colder.
Oh, you're not acclimated.
You're not even close to it. After a few days, like now I'm good. Like I'm like, it's great. But like that first day, you're like, your body is shutting down, like just telling you like, get out of here. Why are you here right now?
Go inside.
Yeah.
Please. Caden, when we first got here, what were your thoughts on the sign? Because you came from Illinois.
Yeah.
So you help with an outfitter out in Illinois. So you've been like basically living in the Midwest for like a month or something.
Yep.
Right.
Since October.
All right. So first impressions.
I was very underwhelmed, extremely underwhelmed with the sign we found. When we got to the hills, bigger wood stuff, it impressed me a lot more, just because we were finding fresher sign.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, still nothing big. No big rubs. But the hills definitely showed up me better sign. But as we'll talk about, the bottoms seem to be where the bigger deer are, the ag fields.
Yeah, down in the hills definitely had fresher sun and a more abundance than what it seemed like. Down in the ag, it was like I'm trying. Really, I mean, we scouted a little bit. You find some rubs, a couple measly little scrapes. I'm surprised. I still haven't seen a huge scrape yet, like a big scrape. Biggest scrape I've seen is probably maybe 24 inches diameter.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like the hills were a lot. Like big woods were way different looking sign wise, and that's why we kind of focus on that kind of off the rip. But yeah, underwhelming. I think we're kind of on the same page there.
Yeah, and just that cold front came in and we were hunting those pinch points up in the hills, and we were trying to focus on hunting around doe bedding specifically, which was cedars, grass, south facing slopes, things of that nature. And we were in the deer. I mean, we're not to go like super long with all this, but when we hunted those little south facing ditch funnels, I mean, you saw a couple does that morning. And then Caden and I that morning, we saw, I don't remember what we saw. We saw one buck that morning. Then we hunted again the next morning and we saw like 8 or 9 deer, saw a couple bucks. So, I mean, they were in there, but so you ended up bouncing back down to the agriculture. And me and Caden stayed up in the hills, and we were torn on it because the agriculture looks really good. The habitat's good, and you're saying there's not a lot of sign, but I mean, there's a lot of tracks in it. I mean, you go to any timberline and it is beat down with tracks.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. The thing that kind of turned us off about it was when we map scouted, we were like, oh, here's a pinch point, here's a pinch point, here's a pinch point. And then we went to those pinch points and they were not pinch points, basically. I mean, they were kind of pinch points, but you're not getting either. They didn't have any trees that you could hunt in, and it was too tall. Like the brush and everything was too tall to ground hunt, or whatever you thought was a pinch point is actually like 120 yards wide, and there's just trails going all through it, and you're like, there's just no way to know that he's going to walk this far. So you didn't want to hunt the hills at first because you've had luck down in the ag before, and you can just see down there, right? And it's something a little bit different. Like I wanted to hunt the ag too because we don't hunt that normally in Alabama. But then when we got here and we looked around in it, I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get one within 40 yards reliably. Like, I'm sure I can sit down here and see a bunch of deer, but whether or not I can actually shoot one is a different story. And then when we went up into the timber, it felt, I mean, as soon as we got there, we were all three like really excited. We're like, oh, we're going to kill a giant up here. This looks so good. And then pretty much what I just said is exactly what has played out over this trip. So you switched back to the agriculture. You went down there with our buddy Zach, again, who lives here. Man, I wish Zach could have made it on this podcast. But Zach scouted all this, and Zach had a spot on one parcel of ag that we had pinned and we were interested in, but we didn't make it to go scout it. And we showed it to him. He's like, oh, I got a tree right here already picked out. So he took you in there, and y'all climbed that tree that he prepped, and y'all just had like a...
Whoa, did you jump ahead?
Yeah, we're jumping ahead.
Okay. So we took a decoy.
Yep.
Full body decoy, which we've used like in Kansas last year. Me and Kate, and we stopped at Bass Pro in Memphis last year, going to Kansas and bought like the Montana decoy, little 2D butt decoy. This dude in the wind is tough to use. That sucker's flapping like a flag. They think that deer's got like, I don't know, like Tourette's or something. He's twitching. But he's got a full body decoy. He's like, dude, we'll pack it in. He's like, I got a spot we can set up next to this little creek. He's like, I haven't hunted it like this year, but he's like, I've glassed from there in the summertime, stuff like that. It'd be good. At least get an observation, potentially have a deer kind of working down this creek. And we got everything set up in this tree and got situated. And like at daylight, we were still kind of fine tuning everything. We looked over and along the creek, maybe 400 or 500 yards from us, we saw there's a buck and a doe, and he's just like locked down with her. It was early enough. It was hard to tell like what he looked like. You could just see big body and part of a frame, and he kept just pushing down the creek bottom. And from that point on to like daylight, good daylight's about 6:45, 7 o'clock. From that point on to like 8:30, it was a madhouse. Bucks, does. We saw some giants. It was unbelievable. We had seen by 8 o'clock. We had seen 4 shooters, including one big deer. I say big deer, like giant deer.
Like Boone and Crockett.
Yeah, like yes, like Zach's killed some big deer, and he was looking at it. He's like that deer's over 170. He's like huge, typical. Just come running and dropped down into that creek bottom, and just like disappeared for a little bit. Had another big buck step out that was like in that probably that 150 range as a 10 point. That was kind of working around, and dude, we were just calling, rattling, grunting, just trying to get the attention of one of these deer, and they would like hear us rattling. They'd come a little bit, and then they just divert back and then drop back down in there. They wouldn't come all the way down to us. And we just kept calling. And it was like you just got numb to see. Like, dude, we couldn't do an interview. We were filming it. We couldn't film an interview until like 8:15. Finally, I'm like, okay, there's no big deer like presently in front of us. Like, we can't see them. Let's do a quick interview because like we haven't updated anything. We just have all this footage of these bucks and like nothing. Like, we haven't said anything. Like, people aren't gonna know what's going on. And we go to start the interview. Zach's filming me, and I'm going to start the interview, and I'm like talking about like what's happening, seeing these bucks, and it goes for like 10 seconds. I look, and one of the big bucks, a real like the 150 plus, is in the bottom, and he's coming towards us. He's like 180 yards, and I was like, "Oh, hold on a second, like it's a funny clip." It's a because I'm like, big deer, stop, get on the deer, and like anyway, started calling him, and he came down the bottom. He kind of disappeared. We just kept calling, rattling, and like 10 minutes later, we hear something, and Zach's up above me. Zach's like, I don't know, he's like 6 feet above me. I'm pretty high up in this tree too. And he's like, get your bow. I'm like, what? He's like, the buck's coming right down the edge of the creek. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can't see him. I go to grab the bow, and I look around, and it's not that deer. It's another buck, big 8-point, by 140-inch 8-point, coming down the drainage. And he's just like, it is thick down there, dude. And he's walking. He's got stuff hanging out off his antler.
Oh, wow.
Probably should be able to see it in the footage. He's like dragging stuff in part of his rack, walking through this stuff. And he's just coming right down, because I've just been calling. He's coming right down the edge. We get situated. I get set up, and he comes all the way down the edge. We have the decoy. Decoy's sitting like 15 yards from us. Where the buck stopped at, he's at 47 yards, tucked in some cover. You can see him, but like I can't squeeze an arrow through there. Plus, I don't want to shoot 47 yards. Funny, 47 yards was what happened last year too.
Yeah.
Magical number. He looked over, couldn't see anything. He started making he just started pawing the ground. There ain't nothing to make a scrape on. It's just brush, and he's just pawing and just like thrashing these little reeds. So we snort wheeze at him. He doesn't see anything, and he just turns off the creek and just kind of walks through all this cover, and he's just bulldozed. Like, he's just walking with his big frame, just like push stuff out of the way. And we're like, huh, crap. I'm like, well, he can't see the decoy. I'm like, okay. So we get down. No, we don't get down. We stay up in the tree. Kept calling. Saw a few more bucks. They kind of just they didn't come anything within range. We could see a long ways down there. At 9:45, it's been a little while since we've seen any deer. It kind of was a little lull of activity. I turn and look, and I see a side-by-side coming down. There's adjacent to us, about 300 yards was the property line. And I see a side-by-side coming down, and I'm like, hey, there's a vehicle coming. And he's like, okay. He's like, it's private lane on that side. He's all good. And I look, I see orange, and I'm like, oh, crap, he's pheasant hunting. And we got some pheasant cover right there next to us, too. And he gets out that side-by-side, parks the property line, and I'm talking about walks a beeline to us. Older gentleman walks a beeline to us. I'm like, crap. I'm like, I hope he doesn't get down this creek bottom and start trying to, like, there's pheasants in there, but like, I hope he doesn't do that, because there's deer like in this stuff right here. We just can't see him. He comes down, he gets like 100 yards from us, and I was like, Zach was like, hey, just rattle, like just clank some antlers real quick. He's like, I'll wave at him. just like get his attention so he sees we're here. So I do that. He instantly stops. He looks up and Zach waves at him. The guy like waves back and he keeps coming. He walks all the way up to
Oh, he keeps coming?
He keeps coming. Dude, he's got this on footage. This dude keeps coming. He walks up to us. He gets like maybe 40 yards. He's like, it coughs like, clears his throat. He's like, you boys deer hunting or something like that. And I'm like, yes, sir. I'm like, yeah,
Like,
right.
no,
We're hunting pheasants from the tree with no orange on, man. And
With rattling horns.
and he's like, oh, okay. He's like, I saw your trucks. I'm like, okay, awesome. He's like, well, me and my brother-in-law, we're hunting pheasants over here. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, if y'all want to go, he's like, all right, we'll just go down here a little bit and push pheasants. He's like, they're coming around the other side. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, he goes down there. And we see the other two guys, brother-in-law and someone else with their black lab, and they push through some cover. They end up getting together, and the guy we ran into, the older gentleman, he like turned and they're talking. They're like 150 yards, and you could hear everything they're saying. And he's like, yeah, there's some boys right there deer hunting up in that tree. He's like, they're from Alabama. I saw their truck down here. He don't talk like that. It's I'm like a southern accent. I don't have a southern accent. I can't do the accent. But anyways,
Oh, my God.
but he's like, they're from Alabama. He's like, let's go. And he's like waving the guys. He's like, let's go. And they went back to the side by side and drove and hunted a different section, which was cool. It was super nice of them.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is crazy, dude. It wasn't 30 minutes later. They leave. I do a rattle sequence. Okay, smacking some antlers. My hands are busted up, dude. I got blisters on like 3 fingers and pretty much every knuckle's busted. Smack some antlers. I put them down, and like the way we're sitting on this creek, it's like real brushy, but we have like an opening. When we're like 25 foot up this tree, you can see down to it. It looks like just all like short grass, but when you get on the ground, everything's like waist high. I do a rattle sequence. I put the antlers up, and I'm like talking to Zach, and all of a sudden I turn and look back to the left down the creek, and there stands, just standing there, is this big buck. And Zach's like, he's like, it's a shooter. He's like, it's a 150 plus inch deer, but he's wide as crap. Like, we got a deer on camera from back in Alabama, short tines, but real wide deer.
Yep.
He's like that, but like steroids. And he's just standing there looking. I'm like, crap. I was like, Zach, big deer, big buck. And I'm like, where? I'm like, right there. He's standing at 90 yards, dude. And he's like, just looking. He throws his nose up, does like a lip curl, and then like walks. I grunt like once or twice. He like walks out a little bit towards us and then just turns and just goes right back in that cover, shoots back. You never can see the decoy. Decoy's in a little low spot. After that, I climbed down, moved the decoy up to a little high spot, which wish I would have done that earlier. But that was pretty much a wrap. But we stayed there all day. We were there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We were getting out. We were on the ground packing up. So it was a full all day sit. And that afternoon was super slow. Really didn't see much of anything.
So when it comes to packing your gear into the woods, there's really one thing that matters the most to me, and that is being able to have everything very secure and within the footprint of your torso, essentially, which means that I don't want anything sticking out from either side. I don't want anything sticking up above my back. You just want to keep everything really tight, close to the body, so you're not snagging on things when you're walking through the woods. To do that, it's important to have a backpack that has a lot of options for how you can attach things to the pack. This is the Ranger 22 and Ranger 33 from Latitude, 2 of our favorite packs. And the reason I like these packs is because they've got 2 straps that go across the body of the pack. They've got this panel that goes over those straps, and then you also have straps on the bottom of the backpack as well. What that allows me to do is I can attach my sticks and my platform in a variety of different ways that keeps everything very secure and kind of covered up. Like you can see, I've got my platform right here covered with this panel. Again, that keeps it very tight, and it keeps it close to my body where nothing's hanging out and snagging on briars or vines or anything as I'm trying to make my way to the stand, which keeps me quiet and keeps me from getting aggravated when I'm walking through the woods. So I personally like the Ranger 22 a lot. The Ranger 33 is a slightly bigger pack. It's a really good option, especially as you get into later season. If you want a little bit more room, it's gonna make it easier to carry things like bibs or any extra layers that you're gonna need for cold weather. So you can check both of these out at latitudeoutdoors.com. One thing we talk about with almost every guest on this show is map scouting. My favorite map scouting tool is LiDAR. If you're unfamiliar, LiDAR is basically like a 3D scan of the Earth's surface. I like to say it kind of takes away all the surprises. LiDAR is now available on onX Hunt on their topography map. If you go to your app right now, click on the topography map, you can flip on that LiDAR feature and boom, it's gonna come on and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. The LiDAR is gonna allow you to see things that are normally hidden from view. This might be ditches, bends in creeks,
rocks, old road beds. I personally love old road beds because deer like to walk them. They're great places to find scrapes. They're great camera locations. And before, an old roadbed or an old logging road might be something that you kind of happen upon while you're out scouting or hunting. Well, now with the LiDAR, before I go into an area, I can turn on that LiDAR and I can see exactly where those roadbeds are. Even old logging roads from the 1930s, you can still see them on there. So that allows me to go straight to those spots and check them out. It's just an incredibly helpful tool, and it's available now on OnX Hunt. And hey, if you want to get 20% off your OnX Elite membership, you can use the promo code SOUTHERN. Like I said, it's going to save you 20%. Go check out that LiDAR feature. You'll be glad you did. Know where you stand with OnX Hunt.
That was crazy hearing all the updates from y'all. Didn't you draw back on one of them? I thought you said you drew back on one.
I got close. I had tension on the string. I never got fully drawn back on that that 8-point, 140-inch 8-point.
Dang.
Yeah.
47 yards.
Yeah, and just a bunch of cover and stuff. Yeah, just like
He didn't learn from Kansas last year and shoot and practice farther distances, did he? You just pulled the bow right out of the case before you came to Iowa.
it's all good.
Caden's a little salty.
God.
Caden dealt with this last year in Kansas. Just a little too far, man. Just a little too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember where we hunted that morning. Where did we hunt that morning?
It's all kind of
We
running.
were, I think, were we at the ditch funnel?
Yeah,
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
Well,
okay. Yeah, because we
forgot
saw like 8 deer. And so this is like the difference between the agriculture and the hills.
yeah.
In the hills, we're seeing way less deer, but almost every single deer we've seen this entire hunt has walked within 15 yards of us,
Oh, yeah.
which is why I like the hills. Like, because I feel like I can figure out what they're about to be doing, and I can have them, like, I can set up where I think I know they're going to walk. And down in the bottoms, dude, it's just tough to get them in bow range. What's the closest you've had a shooter buck? Like 47? That's probably the closest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, the opposite for us, we haven't seen, well, we've seen one shooter buck, and he was probably like 45, but it was right at last light.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually worth mentioning. So the spot you mentioned earlier, where Caden called it, he's like, you could kill one right here on this road. What that spot was, there's a couple different spots like this in this hill country that we're hunting. It's what I call a ridgetop hub, or just a ridge intersection. And it's where one long ridge hits another long ridge. There's almost always a saddle right there where they meet. And that's usually a good spot because deer run those ridges, they come up the drainages. And so you've just got a lot of things going for you in that one spot. We checked one of those the other day, and it had 3 or 4 fresh scrapes in it. It had tracks in it. There was droppings. Like, it just looked good. And that's where Caden was like, yeah, you can kill one right here. Well, we went in there to go hunt that. And I'm so caught off guard by this. None of these trees in here look that big. Like, they're just like oak trees, most of them. Mm-hmm. And they're apparently bigger than we thought they were, because we couldn't get our climbing sticks around any of them. And so we sat there for probably a good 45 minutes trying to get in these different trees, because we picked a kill tree. We're like, we're going to get in that tree and we're going to kill one out of it. Well, we try to get in that tree, can't get in it. Try to get in the next tree over, can't get in that one.
I thought you could. You just can't get the stand cam.
Yeah, couldn't get the standing cam.
There was a lot of tree stand trouble this trip.
It was bad.
For y'all.
It was frustrating.
A lot.
So we ended up sitting on the ground, and sure enough, shooter buck comes by. He was probably 20 yards from our original tree that we couldn't get in because our sticks wouldn't go around it. And he came by like right at dark. But that was the first like good hunt that we had. But anyways, so up in the hills, I mean, it's been really, really good so far. As far as just having deer come into bow range, we just haven't seen like a big buck yet. There was a buck that came through this morning that I came very close to shooting, full draw. He came up, he worked a scrape in front of us at 20 yards. I mean, my pin was behind the shoulder, and I was about to shoot, and I was like, no, I'm not.
You have a lot more self-control than me.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm
you'd have smoked it.
If I'm go, no, I'm just saying. If I'm going full draw, I'll talk myself into it. If there's no tension on the string, it's okay. But if I come to full draw, like, we're executing.
Oh, no,
bro.
the pin was settled.
He's at full draw, ready to shoot, and he goes, I think I'm going to pass this deer. Am I stupid? And then proceeds to let down.
Oh, yeah. So this deer walks in, Well, okay, let's back up for a second. So again, sitting on a ridgetop hub.
Yeah.
Another area we walked into. There's 4 or 5 scrapes right here at this ridge intersection, right where these two ridges meet. There's kind of a high spot. There's 4 or 5 scrapes right there in a line, and then there's a deep saddle right next to it. And right in the bottom of that saddle, there's a big old scrape. And there's several other scrapes kind of leading to it. So I mean, there's just a bunch of scrapes right here, and which made me feel good. Not that I'm hunting the scrape, I'm hunting the terrain feature, and the scrapes happen to be there. But we pick out this tree, we climb up, and dude, like these deer are just coming from everywhere. They're coming up out of the draws. They're coming down the ridge points. I mean, you can really hunt it with any wind because you're on top of the ridge. You're on the very top. And so even in hill country, you've got a consistent wind. Like today we had high winds. It was consistent all day. But if it blows down this ridge point, you've got 2 other ridges that are leading to that spot. So best case scenario, it's blowing out over one of the drainages and you've got a rising thermal. So you're golden. Like none of the deer that are going to walk in there are going to smell you, and you're just totally good from 365. Worst case scenario, your wind's blowing right down one of those ridges, and then you're just 2 out of 3. But it's still a really good spot for that reason.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
And so that's why I didn't want to leave it today. So we found it the other day, hunted it in the evening, had this buck come up, kind of a goofy little buck. He came up right at dark, and he had big brow tines, and then his rack went out, like his main beams went out and palmated on the ends a little bit, but I mean just barely. And he just wasn't that big. But he got me, dude. He came up out of one of those draws. There's a scrape 20 yards in front of us, and he comes out of this draw right next to that scrape, and it's kind of steep where it drops off into that draw. And dude, when he popped up, the first thing I saw coming over was those brow tines. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm killing him. I thought he was a shooter. And then he came up and he worked that scrape at 20 yards. I was like, okay, sweet. He read the script. Let's see if another one will do it. And we saw 5 does that same afternoon. So then we go back in there today, and we see like, I don't know, some like 3-point or something right off the bat. Like just a little buck came through. He hits the scrape. And then a little while later, I think it was another small buck came through, like maybe a spike.
A spike, yeah.
Yeah, spike came through. He hit the scrape. And then a little bit after that, this buck that I passed that we've been talking about, he's like let me think. He's like a 10-point or 11-point or something. He's got a split G4 on his right side. And then on his left side, he broke off his entire G2. But he's a pretty nice little buck. He's definitely a young deer.
Oh, yeah.
But that saddle behind me that I was talking about, so Caden, that's to Caden's back, and it's like off to my right shoulder, but the tree's off to my right shoulder because I'm hybrid hunting. I've got a lock on in my saddle, and I'm standing there, and the wind's kind of blowing. We can kind of hear something walking, and I hear Caden go, buck, buck, and then I'm like, where is he? He's like, you're probably going to shoot this deer. And I was like, okay. So I get the bow and I get ready, and I kind of lean over and I look back behind Caden, and I see Caden turn, like looking behind him, and I just see the deer coming, and I just see tines coming through. You mentioned up in the hills, there's all that green stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but it's some understory plant. And when you're on the ground in there, you can see why they like that area, because it's almost like Mount Laurel back at home.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow like Mount Laurel, like where it's just this really thick,
tangled
dense, tangled mess. But it's green, and it provides screening cover. And when you're on the ground, you can't see but like 10 yards in it. But you get in a tree, you can see all throughout it. It looks really good from the tree. Well, he's walking through that stuff, and I just see tines coming through. And he swings by, and he walks at 14 yards broadside. And I'm like, he's walking right to that scrape. And so I'm still like turning around and seeing if I want to shoot the deer. So he walks through my 14-yard gap, and then he kind of turns away from me to walk towards that scrape. And again, I'm just seeing, he's got long tines. Mm-hmm. And he turns, and he's about to walk into the scrape. So I just draw back because I'm like, if I want to shoot this deer, I've got to go ahead and draw. And as soon as he walks in that gap, I'm just going to smoke him.
Caden's just thinking about this footage in the scrape working and making him very swat.
Dude, the DJI angle is unreal. It's got him at full draw while the deer's in the scrape working it.
Yeah, like the GoPro behind me.
DJI, don't
GoPro
disrespect
DJ.
'em.
Don't disrespect. with the
Well, see,
GoPro.
normal people don't understand what
It's a different type of
DJI.
action camera. Sorry.
The action cam. It is, dude, it's a really cool shot, man. I was like, dang, I should have shot that deer just for that. But anyways, he walks into the scrape and like he throws his head up and he's just working the scrape. And when he's working the scrape, that's when I'm like, okay, am I going to shoot this deer or not? Because the pin is settled, like right behind the shoulder, right in the crease, like 20 yards, money. I feel good. I'm not even nervous. And I'm like kind of peeking out from behind the peep sight and around the bow, like looking at him.
Touch it off.
And I see it. He like turns his head as he's working the scrape, and I see how wide he is, and he's just not that wide. And I was like, I think I'm gonna pass that deer. And Caden, dude, Caden was more excited than I was. He was like, okay. and so then the deer starts walking off, and I let down. I was like, am I an idiot? And Caden said, I don't know. So he walked off, and long story short, we ended up seeing a couple more bucks in that spot.
Is that the biggest deer you've ever passed?
Yes.
I was thinking that when you sent the footage or posted you sent the footage of like, I guess Andrew, someone filmed it off the camera.
Yeah.
And like Caden is shaking. The freaking camera, like the screen is vibrating as you're
My
looking.
hands were so cold. Dude.
Oh,
Oh,
but
terrible.
Yeah, that's the best deer I've ever passed.
we watched it. We watched it in the tree. Me and Zach did. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the biggest deer Andrew's ever passed.
The goal
and Zach was like, yes! He's like, kill a giant. Like, that's awesome.
goal was to make y'all think we shot the deer.
Oh yeah, Caden was messing with
Oh,
me.
you did? That's why I called Andrew. I'm like, did you shoot it? Kaden, like, what's Kaden doing? So I had to say the same thing tonight.
I knew that he was messing with us. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good hunt. We had a couple more 8 points come through, just, small, just normal 8 points,
Yeah.
like right at the ears.
Good Alabama deer.
Good Alabama deer. One of them came by, and actually the same one came by twice. He came off one ridge point and walked by us at about 20 yards, and he went through that deep saddle and went off onto that ridge. And then about an hour and 20 minutes later, he came back through the saddle, and then he walked by at 6 yards and dumped off the drain where some of those other bucks had come from, and he left out that way. And that was probably at like 11 something. Didn't see another deer until no, that was at noon. Didn't see another deer till about 2:20, and we were about to get down actually and go hunt the bottoms where you guys were, and hunt the same like field system that y'all were hunting. And it was like 2:05, and I was like, we're gonna get down in a minute. And the wind kind of started blowing a different direction, and it kind of got a little bit cooler. I was like, we're gonna sit till 2:30. And then at like 2:20 something, another buck came through. And this is the only one that didn't come by in bow range. He swung like 45 or so yards below us down the ridge.
Oh, cool.
And he swung by, and I couldn't quite tell what he was. Like, I just saw Rack going through the brush, so I get the grunt call out. I grunt at him a couple times. He looks up at us, and for a minute I think he's going to come in. But by the time he looked at us, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's not a shooter. And then he ended up moving off, and that was the last year we saw. So after we saw him, I was like, we're just going to sit here for the rest of the day. So we sat there till dark. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of been the tale of two habitat types. It's pretty interesting. You've been seeing the deer. You've been seeing the bucks. So you had a really good hunt this evening. And this goes back to like the agriculture and everything. When you're hunting that big open ag land, like you can see the deer.
Yeah.
It's getting them in bow range. And you had another experience with that this evening.
Well, and you jumped around a little bit because we had a hunt yesterday. We're kind of jumping into today, but yesterday was the day after seeing all those big deer.
Right.
Okay, like 5-6 shooters, all over 140 inches. Yesterday got humbled. I didn't see a deer the whole day.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the hills in the morning because the wind was wrong for the ag land. Went to the hills, didn't see anything. Went back to the ag, didn't see a single deer. We kind of stepped a little more aggressively, kind of where those bucks had been at the day before. Didn't see anything.
Oh.
Zach saw a doe, but that was it.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. That morning,
Yeah,
so
what
y'all
about
went
your
to the
drop
hills.
time?
Yeah, we switched, and so we hunted the spot where Cade and I scouted when I cut myself.
Mm-hmm.
So right after I cut myself, all that happened. We went in and we scouted this general area. There's like some pinch points and some funnels in here, and we were going to look at the end of this little pond that was on this property. And we were hoping to find some trees we could get in at the edge of that pond or whatever. We walk in and there's literally not a tree, like 0 trees around the pond. And all the cover around the pond is like 9 feet tall. I mean, just nothing you can do with it whatsoever. But it's tore up with deer sign. And this so happens to be a couple hundred yards away from where you guys later in the week ended up hunting and seeing all those big deer, like you mentioned. Well, so the morning you're talking about, the wind was wrong for y'all to go back in there and try that spot where you'd rattled up all the bucks, pheasant hunters walked up on you. So instead of going back in there the next morning, y'all went up to the hills. Well, me and Caden were like, well, let's go hunt the place that we scouted that's north of that. It's north by like about a mile or so, but the same cover that y'all were seeing those bucks coming in and out of runs all the way up to where me and him scouted. So we're like, you know, not that those deer would like leave and go a mile up there. I mean, they might, but just that y'all are seeing that caliber of deer and that kind of cover. I'm like, well, let's go and try that. And we're just going to ground hunt it. Because Caden's got experience ground hunting. Did an internship with Josh Eiderton, the Untamed. So they do a lot of ground hunting. So I was like, all right, Caden, you got to school me on ground hunting. So we go in there and man, we park and we walk in at gray light. And we just sit down where we can see across all that cover. And we're there for like, what?
5 minutes.
5 seconds. And we look over into that cut bean field. And I mean, there's just deer in it all over the place. There's a doe standing there.
Yeah, 2 or 3 does were standing right there close.
Yeah.
And then that real big buck.
Yeah, which might have been the same deer that y'all saw the day before. It was in the same spot. So it was all the way at the bottom of this field. This field's like a mile long. I could see the trees that y'all got in, and I see this doe in the field, and she's probably less than 200 yards from us. And I pull up my binos and I'm looking at her, and as I'm looking at her, I kind of scan the field, and all the way in the back, I just see a giant bug run across the field right through my binos. I was like, oh, Caden, big buck, big buck. And I mean, he's like far, all the way, like 0 chance that we're going to get this deer. But he runs back and forth in front of me 2 or 3 times, and we were talking about it, and I was like, that's got to be that same deer that Jacob and Zach saw, like the booner, basically. Because, I mean, come to find out, he was like 1,600 yards away, and I could see his rack. I mean, giant deer. So we're sitting there looking at these deer, and meanwhile, all this cover's out here in front of us. And I've been looking at the cover, and it's just like this brown, grassy reed type stuff, very monotonous looking. And I'm like looking back and forth. I'm glassing, then I'm looking. I'm glassing, I'm looking. And I look to my right, and I just see antlers in it, like pretty close. And I was like, oh, there's a buck right there. So I look over at that buck, and he's just like a, I don't know, little basket rack, 8-point or something, or 10-point. And he's staring at us. I'm like, okay, and there's a buck right here. And Caden gets on him, and the buck's just looking at us. And he looks at us for quite a while. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just this little deer, you know. And then he flicks his ear, and he's got like a 5-inch drop tine. I was like, oh, he's got a drop tine.
That's different. He just got bumped up in qualifications for being shot.
Yeah, and not only that, but the drop tine was like thick. It was like palmated almost coming off. A little kickstand, bro. And
Good soup stir.
good soup stir. And he ends up just walking right out in front of us. I grunted at him so Caden could get some footage of the drop tine. I hope you can see it good on the footage. I haven't watched the footage yet. But he moves through. We ended up going into that cover and just walking around and calling, doing a lot of rattling, a lot of grunting. Didn't see any deer. Saw a ton of sign. And again, it kind of goes back to that same thing. No timber in there. This strip of cover is like giant. I don't know how many acres it is, but it's literally just all cover. It's like back home when you have a 1,000-acre clear cut. You can walk through there and you'll find the biggest trail you'll ever find, like just beat down deer trail, tracks in it, just looks crazy. And then you walk 50 yards and you find another one exactly like it. And you walk 50 yards and you do that for 500 yards. And it's just trail after trail after trail that are all equally good looking. And I'm like, dude, we could just walk around in here and rattle and grunt and hope to bump into one. But I don't know if it's the best tactic or whatever. Like, I think that the spot that you guys hunted, Jacob, where y'all called in all the deer, was pretty good because it's a little bit of a pinch point. I mean, you at least have some timber right there that they can kind of gravitate to. Because because when they're out in those big, giant thickets like that, those trees are just something that sticks out. Seems like they kind of just naturally go to it. So y'all went back to the river bottom today after all that happened. So you got humbled, you hunted back, you went back in after the big deer, no dice, didn't see him again.
Didn't see anything.
And like when I saw him that morning, he was chasing a doe back and forth, and he went back into some thick cover, but it was on private, and he was the only buck that we saw down there. So I don't know if they like moved out or what, but what Zach was saying, and like I was kind of thinking this too, it seems like y'all just kind of got into a rut frenzy that day, where there was a buck in there, like you said, right off the bat. Y'all saw one that had a doe locked down. She was hot. He was trying to keep other bucks away from her. So you just had like a hot doe, the buck that was on her, and then all these satellite bucks just running around acting crazy. And then when you went back, it was kind of over with.
And the funny thing is, satellite bucks were bigger than the buck that had the deer locked down.
I do.
Much bigger.
Yep.
But
It ain't the size of the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog, baby.
well, the one that had the doe locked down had half a rack.
Well, that's
He
probably
was
why.
mature, but he had,
He's been whooping people.
dude, he was missing his whole left side. He looked like our decoy because our decoy's got one side. But yeah, so we went back to that same spot this morning, had the decoy, got everything situated. We left our stands in that tree 2 days ago. So all we had to do was come back in, throw the bottom stick on, and climb up. We ended up seeing we had a spike come out. We ended up having a buck. I barely saw him. Zach said he might have been a shooter, but it was like borderline, chasing a doe back behind us. And then I don't know, not super long afterwards, maybe 30 minutes later, another buck popped out in that same spot, right at the ears, 8-point, nice 2-year-old deer. Yeah, that was it. We kind of wrapped it up. And I told him, I'm like, dude, I want to go check out a spot that we found, which we mentioned earlier in this episode. That pinch point between the ag fields. It's got like some CRP right there. And I'm like, I think it's going to be money. The wind's not great for it. We can't sit the pinch point. But he's like, Zach's like, let's just do an observation sit. He's like, we might kill one on the observation sit, call one in, but let's get where we can see and see if the deer actually use it. And that's what we did. We walked in there, found some fresh sign on the way in, found our tree, climbed up that tree, got sky high. I didn't think it was that high until we started climbing up. Like, Zach actually went up and hung sticks and me and Andrew are both hunting hybrid style. We're using like small lock-ons with our saddles, which is really nice. We started doing that in Kansas, late in the Kansas trip. I started doing it late in Kansas trip because you get rutting bucks coming in from different directions, especially weak side. You need to move real fast or have a little more platform to move around on. It's nice to have. But we got up in that tree, dude. It was so high in that freaking tree, but we could see everything. You could see down the CRP, you could see the ag, that's standing corn, everything. But we could see that funnel. And while we were climbing the tree, we had a spike right in front of us that popped out in that standing corn. Like he's like 80 to 100 yards from us, just hanging out, just feeding. We're like, oh, it's like 2:45 in the afternoon. We climb all the way up, get situated, and I'm like, dude, by the time I get up there, I look around. He's like, look behind you, and dude, you can just see. You can see into a lot of thick cover, 360 degrees around you. I was giddy, to say the least. Like watch the footage when y'all watch it. Okay, see the clips. It is level 10 Jacob excitement from climbing up that tree. Plus some nerves because like this is the highest I've climbed in a while now. And dude, I was like a little nervous with that and nervous. I'm like, we're gonna see a big deer. Like I was confident we were gonna see a big buck. And Zach's like, dude, he's like, this place is sweet because he had never been to that spot before, that area. And dude, we were up there not long at all. And we had a like a 2-year-old pop out of that CRP, rattled to him a little bit. He didn't care enough about the rattle. He kind of walked off. Then we started seeing some does. Does started popping out. This is like 2:45, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Deer started popping out.
Explain like what you're hunting again.
We are hunting a strip of timber on one side of a cut bean field, cut corn with some standing corn with CRP on both sides of that ag, and then the thin strip of timber on the opposite side of it, which is more like that funnel that they're kind of running around. So it's like we're setting up truly for an observation. Well, all of a sudden we hear some gunshots back behind us, like back by the truck. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Kind of sounded weird. Well, one of these 2-year-olds popped back out in the field, so I start rattling to him. Like, just to see what happens. I start rattling, and as I'm rattling, Zach's like, hey. I'm like, what? He's like, did you hear that grunt? I'm like, no. He's like, I just heard a grunt right behind us. And it's like thick where we're at, just like brush cover. And I turn around, I'm like, I don't see anything. He's like, just wait a second. So I put the antlers up, I grunt a couple times, and all of a sudden, we just see, he's like, oh, there's deer coming. We just see like there's like another habitat edge of like some dead trees right here. And we just see these does pop out. And all of a sudden he's like, big buck. And I'm like, what? I'm looking and it's this antler coming through that cover, dude. Big old rack. And I'm like, it's coming right to us, right down the edge of that stuff, right to us. So he's like, get your bow. He flicks the camera on. He actually just sent me the footage. Y'all are going to see it in a second when we wrap this up. He flips the camera around. I grab my bow, spin around on the tree stand, loose up my tether and my saddle. He's coming. He's like bumping these does. Ended up being doe fawns. They end up slipping off a little bit. They got like 35 yards from us. And we're like, oh, he's going to keep following. Like, dude, this is going to be money. Like, they're going to come right down that back edge from us, that interior habitat edge. We're going to get a shot. Well, he like turns off them, walks up to this big shrub and starts making it scrape. Just starts pawing it out. And right at that point, he's behind a tree, so Zach can't see him. He's like, where's he at? I'm like, he's just standing there, like making a scrape at like 80 yards. I'm like, so I grunt a couple times. I grunt, he like looks up at us. I grunt a couple more times. And he turns and starts walking down that edge again, like towards us. I was like, oh. I'm like, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy, dude. Like, let's go. And it ended up being a big 9-point. Zach's like, that's a 150-inch deer. And the crazy thing is he's only like 16 inches wide, maybe. But he is just massive. Mass, tine length, everything. So he comes down, he gets to like 60 yards. And I'm like ranging stuff. I'm like double checking things, kind of like where everything's at. Like I'm trying to find that 40-yard buffer. And he gets to 60 yards, and all of a sudden, he just like, the does are like coming closer. He just turns 90 degrees and starts paralleling us going out into this field. And I'm like, no.
You got that sixth sense.
I was like, no. I'm like, crap. And I'm like, I'm not going to call at him. Like, he's going to pop out on this field. He's like, maybe he'll hit at the field edge and he'll walk right down to us. Okay. He hits that field edge and he just keeps going. He like walks out to the field. He stops. Zach snort wheezes, which I was thinking the same thing. Should have done when he was in cover, but snort wheezes. The deer like looks, he's not looking up. He's looking in our direction down low. He can't see into the timber at all. And he just looks at us and just keeps walking. He gets over into that CRP. He's like, just rattle. He's like, if we booger him, it's no big deal. Like there's gonna be other deer in the area. Just rattle, see what he does. I rattle, dude, for 3 seconds, and that sucker looks back and just bounded off in that CRP. I was like, crap. He's like, that's all good. So we'll come get him. So that happens. Okay, I'm at that point. I'm like level 11, Jacob. Excitement, just like, oh, we just saw a big deer, all that kind of stuff. Next 15 minutes, more deer start popping out. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon, and there's just deer popping out. It's 63 degrees. It was previously like the high 2 days ago was like 38. Okay, and deer just start piling out. All of a sudden, we see these does pop out of the CRP about 500 yards from us. They pop out, and then I just see this big body deer come out, and you just see his rack. And I'm like, ooh, we got a big buck. Throw the binos up and look, and dude, it's just like, get that deer that came to 60, 65 yards. He's tight racks, maybe 16 inches inside spread, but just heavy mass, tall tine, big 9-point, real big deer. This other deer is like the opposite. He's like way outside the ears. I don't know how wide he is. He's super wide, big tall tines, really good mass, but he's just like that super wide frame. He comes out there, we're like, oh, he's following these does. He's like, hey, rattle at him. I rattle. The deer kind of looked up at me, looked back at the does, kept walking to the does. He walks past the does, does not care about the does, but I can look at him through the binos and you see his mouth's open. He's like breathing through his mouth, and he starts beelining it down the side of the field, jumps in the funnel that I was looking, that we had originally scouted, goes right into it and works all the way down. And I was like, dude, this is it. That's where we're going to be in the morning.
Coming full circle, this is the funnel that we were scouting after I cut my finger.
Yeah.
Where my finger kept
bleeding,
sticking into my jacket. And I was like, hey, I've seen enough. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
That funnel.
He gets into it and uses it. And so did all the does. They all used it. I was like, okay, awesome.
Okay.
We ended up seeing more deer. We ended up seeing, I think it was 9 bucks, 2 for sure shooters, we could see really far. I ranged it with those. I've been using those Ranger 3000 binos, rangefinder binos. And dude, it's like I'll have a rangefinder with me because I'm not trying to use the binos when deer comes in. But when you're looking, you can spot check stuff really easy. And there was a small cornfield in the very back corner, and I could see deer popping out. And all of a sudden, we saw this sucker get out there, and he's like way bigger. I'm like, I don't know what these other deer are, but this has to be a buck because he looks like twice the size of all the other ones. And we're looking, and all of a sudden another buck comes out, and he's like, are they fighting? And like you see him come up, you can't hear him, the wind's blowing, but like they're getting in each other's face, and all of a sudden one like scatters, and that the bigger one turns his head, and you see like a flash of white above his head with his antlers moving. Don't know how big he is, but he looked pretty big. He looked like a huge body from that distance. It's like 1,200 yards. But anyways, we learned a lot. Learned a ton, and that's what I'm super excited about for the next couple days. It's like buckling down because I'm like, I can kill a deer. We could kill a deer in that spot, in that specific funnel, right there between two bedding areas, and you got the food right there in front of you.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I think you're right. Find out next time on the Southern Outdoors.
well, so that was a podcast.
Yeah, so we got 2 days left. We're gonna go down there to the bottoms too tomorrow. We're gonna tag along with you guys and hunt a different area. Same general like field system. So it's like a couple cut cornfields, a couple cut bean fields with a little bit of standing corn in it, and then CRP around it, and they're just in it. And the last couple times you come to Iowa in late season, it seems like that's been the key too. Like the CRP next to cut corn seems like it's kind of king, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Corn is king, dude. Corn is king. I mean, that's all I've learned in Midwest Caden after hunting not Iowa, Illinois quite a bit. It seems to be the same thing, right?
Corn is king.
Corn is king. You get cut or standing corn, there's going to be deer all in it if it's got good cover close by. It's a safe place for them to come to.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even mention. We had squirrel hunters come in.
Oh yeah.
We had squirrel hunters come in early in that hunt, and dude, they busted a bunch of deer out. And I think that's what actually got that buck on his feet, and he was grunting, but like you could tell at one point he got a little bit nervous, and it was those squirrel hunters were upwind working down this far tree line from us. It was kind of blowing through some cover. And they made a big loop. They actually got within maybe 100 yards of us, and they saw us in the tree. I waved at them, and they waved back and kind of slipped on out of there, which was fine. We still saw a ton of deer, but we didn't have any more deer come from that general direction. But also when we climbed down like last 10 minutes of light, he's like, hey, we just need to get out of here. He's like, we're not going to have a deer come in to the spot. We climb down, lower all our stuff down. I'm on the bottom stick. I'm on the double aider on the bottom stick, okay? I look up, and there's a buck standing 65, 70 yards from us right there in the field. Just like standing there, and he's coming towards us. And Zach like takes a phone call. I don't know who called him. It might have been his wife. He's like, hey. And I was like, Zach. I'm like looking up. I'm like, there's a buck. And he's like, what? And I'm like, look. And the dude's like just coming. And like, I don't have binos or anything. All my stuff's on the ground. I don't have bino harness on. So I can't tell how big it is, but it looked like a pretty big body. I mean, it was at that point, like darkness.
You can't really see.
I mean, you can't, you pull your pin up, you don't know front from the back of the deer, but you just see body. He pulled his binos up, and he's like, once we got down the ground, he snort wheezed at the deer. Anyways, deer kind of like turned and bounded off. He gets down, he's like that. He's like, he was a pretty good deer. I'm like, how big was it? He's like, it might have been a shooter. I don't know. He's like, he was pretty good. I'm like, oh, don't tell me that, dude, because I was nervous bumping deer out of there. But he's like, it ain't no big deal. They ain't gonna leave. That's the reason why we were seeing them so early in the afternoon in this spot. Nobody's really pushing them. And he's like, we're gonna go try to get an opportunity to go kill one tomorrow instead of doing an observation sit.
Nice. So. All right, dude. Well, got 2 days left. Hopefully we'll make them count.
Yep. So
we've been on them. It's been a great hunt so far.
Okay, you got any other feedback or updates?
No.
I'm
tired.
Yeah,
extremely tired.
Yeah, you go to sleep here in a little bit. Well, appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank y'all for listening. Hope y'all have enjoyed this one, and tune back in next week and see how this hunt ends for both me and Andrew. But we appreciate y'all watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you back here on the next episode from the Southern Outdoorsman Podcast. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.